I'm over on 13th and Fairbanks. I don't know what part of town this is or what, but this is sketch, man. There's all kinds of weird ass shit going on out here. This is an angry, sketchy part of town that I just kind of stumbled into. So a buddy of mine who lives in Alaska told me, Anchorage is a dump, Nick. It's bad, he said. Crime, drugs, poverty, homelessness. Used to be a great place. It's not anymore. I don't think I've ever been told so many times that a downtown I was about to see is dangerous. Like, everybody told me, I don't want to be downtown Anchorage at night. You're going to get shot or mugged or beat up. Our neighborhoods are scary. It's run down here, everybody said. Well, I hear that a lot. And I always wonder, is it as bad as people say? Or do Alaska people have any idea what they're talking about? Trapped up here with no frame of reference. So we spent a lot of time in Anchorage. Too long, probably. I thought it would be a pretty city and a pretty state. It's kind of It's kind of messed up and weird and sketchy. Bad for Alaska, but not necessarily super bad when you compare it to other cities in the country. But there's a lot of drama here to talk about. That's the kind of stuff you people like. Anchorage, Alaska. Here we go.
Oh my God! Holy shit! What the fuck?
Another plane landing in Anchorage. Probably tourists or oil workers. That was crazy. Everybody should do that. Go down to the airport and stand underneath it. It's fun. This is the third largest cargo airport in the world. They say if Alaska was cut off from the rest of the world, they'd run out of supplies in 2 weeks. I think they'd be okay, though. They're tough and hardy, like me. So here we are, the biggest city in the biggest state. This isn't the capital. That's Juneau, like 5,000 miles away. Alaska gets most of its money from oil and tourism. The tourism part, well, that's the part people here are worried about because of this. This is the first thing people see when they visit this state. Their front yard looks like shit. They have wrecked this place. Someone's got a light. Now I have a whole nother video about the homeless problem here, but it is bad. And they've tried doing all sorts of things to figure this out. Never works. Nobody can figure it out. But you know that. The homelessness is just one part of what's wrong here. Crime is a real bitch. There's a lot of sketchy people wandering around in a lot of this city. Some people call this Skankerage. That's mean. I was told by a few people that Anchorage was never really beautiful. It's always been kind of fringe dirty, kind of unkempt. But people told me, at least back in the day, we tried. Back in the 1980s, Alaska was rich in oil money. So they used all that cash to pave the roads and build bigger buildings. From what I hear, nothing's been done here since. Kind of looks like it. And the hotel prices downtown are super high in the summer, too. $400 a night, stay in downtown Anchorage? Not for me.
Alaska Fur Exchange. They don't have that where you live.
As you probably heard, it's getting way more liberal here now. A lot of California and Washington and Oregon people moved up here, and they've changed the politics a little bit. So they're a lot more soft on crime. And clearly on homelessness. Can't even use plastic bags here anymore. And housing is way more expensive. Drug use has gone up, and all the apartments and roads and schools have just all gotten worse. Now they call it Los Anchorage now, which I think is hilarious. It's just becoming a colder version of LA. Somebody said the perfect word to describe Anchorage would be janky. A lot of Anchorage is pretty sketch. Now, I drove around here for a week and I saw a lot of troublemakers about. I read about car break-ins and homeless people shooting guns, fist fights at 2 a.m., drunk people staggering around at noon. I think a lot of the town drunks are the Eskimos that have been thrown out of their own villages. You see native Alaskans all over Anchorage guzzling booze all day and all night. It's sad. And they're angry. They yell a lot. They're on edge. It made it hard for me to capture them up close. Welcome to Alaska. But this is the only real game in town. The state has one medium-sized city surrounded by wilderness and little towns and villages that you can only get to by plane or boat. There's about 400,000 people in the Anchorage metro area. More than half the state lives in this whole area right here. It's really diverse here. There's more than 100 languages spoken in Anchorage area schools. 100! Can you imagine? I bet the school district where you live speaks 2. Be bear aware.
Very, very aware.
I can see Russia from my porch. No, I can't see Russia, but I can see Anchorage. That's right. We made it. Day 1 in Anchorage, and it is raining. That sucks. There's this atmospheric river thing coming up from the northern Pacific Ocean. And that's not good, but we're going to do our best. We'll find stuff to do today. My 50th state. I've been to all 50 states now. And we just got to Anchorage. It's day 1. It's early. I got about 4 hours of sleep because of the time difference. And because the trash cans came and got the bear-proof containers and it shook the damn ground when the trash people banged those bear-proof containers around. Woke me up and everybody else up. But I can't complain. This is how it is here in some kind of sketchy neighborhood, because the hotel rooms are $350 a piece. I gotta say, my first impression from Anchorage is a little sketch. Lots of what I'm gonna assume are drugged out native Alaskan people digging in trash cans and scratching their faces and just looking like shit. Not a good first impression. Okay, so how do these people live? Well, we're going to start out in the hoods, because that's what you people like to see the most. You know you do. Well, sorry to disappoint you, but Anchorage's hoods aren't tragic or anything. I've seen way worse. Crime's really bad, but I didn't feel unsafe in here. It doesn't look that run down. The homeless camps, that's different. They're hell on earth. But in here, it's just average hood. Stuff on the streets in the 300,000s. This whole part of town has a terrible reputation, so I don't think Alaskans know what bad really is. The poverty rate in Alaska is lower than the U.S. average, but they're worried about that. There hasn't been a lot of job growth here since the oil boom in the 80s. Back then, everybody made bank. And they say Anchorage's population is on course to drop by 10%. Schools are closing, businesses are closing here. Population's aging. One reporter said one day Anchorage might be hollowed out like a Rust Belt town. Damn! One of the few cops I've seen in Anchorage. They have trouble getting doctors and teachers and police officers to come up here and work. If you're into logging or fishing, well, there's plenty of those jobs. If you're an electrician or construction worker, those are hard to find too. But a lot of people don't want to work. So for now, the boom here is long gone. That was 30 years ago. Now they call Anchorage the 5th fastest declining city in the country. From what I hear, most people just get by in Anchorage. And down the road is the middle class, where the average family makes about $95K a year. So they make more money than the average state. This is all pretty nice, huh? These are all in the $700,000 or $800,000 range. Now, across the state, home prices are just about average. They're in the $360K range. That's about average with the U.S. But property taxes here are high. And food's expensive because it costs so much to get stuff up here. Then we have the rich people. Now this is a super nice neighborhood way down in South Anchorage. All of this is between 1 and 2 mil. They have some good jobs here, just like where you live. So if you have the motivation, there's plenty of dough to be made. This is where a lot of the people that didn't flee up to the suburbs live. A lot of people went up to the Palmer-Wasilla area. But these are the people that stuck around. The tough men and women who want to battle it out. And there are far more men than women in Alaska. Many of their women are either hockey moms or lumberjacks, or both. Now you're wondering, why do these people want to live up here, Nick? Well, there's no income tax, and a lot of the state's pretty conservative. You can carry a gun wherever you go, and all around is wonderful nature. Within 20 minutes of downtown, you can be in mountains and waterfalls. That's why. Almost everybody in Alaska has some sort of an SUV. Very few sedans. Except for this one. Anchorage is just like any other struggling American city, except it's surrounded by mountains on 2 sides. And the cold up here, it's relative. Anchorage is only the 22nd coldest city in the country. There's places in Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, New Hampshire, Maine that are way colder. The average temperature is 55 degrees. One time in the 1980s, it was 70 for 3 days in a row. The local news had a headline, 70 again tomorrow. No relief in sight. Of course, they get a lot of snow up here. But when we were here, it was August, which is at the end of their short summer. But felt like fall. All right, I found some fishermen. People sure do love to fish in downtown Anchorage. Love it. It's an Alaska church.
But it's a time to love. We are in evil days, and it's time for all of us God's people to love one another.
Off somewhere far away. Now, I love little airports. There's little airports around every corner in Alaska, which is cool, but it also means you can't fly your drone around every corner in Alaska. This right here is the little float plane airport in Anchorage. It's on Lake Hood, kind of right next to the main airport. Alaska has more planes and pilots per capita than any other state. 1 in every 80 residents in Alaska is a pilot. That's just crazy. That's because you can only get to 90% of the state by plane. A lot of these people are moving cargo around, or they're taking people to a small village somewhere, or probably just coming into town from some strange land to get some shopping done. This is just somebody's parking spot. It's like they got their boats tied up out here. There you go. That's the life right there. And there is not a lot of room in there, clearly. It's just, there's stuff everywhere. It's just, everywhere you turn, there's something going on out here. There's a 20-year waiting list to get a parking spot in that lake. Now, back in 1959, when Alaska became a state, the railroad was a big deal. That's what Anchorage relied on. But when the airport opened up, that's when Anchorage actually really started to grow. Anchorage is a 10-hour plane ride away from 90% of the industrialized world. I know, it's crazy.
Did you know Alaska imports 95% of its food?
I didn't, but wow, with all the fish and game they have everywhere. I mean, I know that they don't grow vegetables very well here in Alaska, but I didn't think they ate that stuff here anyways.
I bet I could feed this whole city by myself.
Mappy, you can't shoot moose in town. I'm sure a lot of people here want to, though. But I'm glad Mappy brought that up. A lot of people told me, Nick, you guys are never going to see a moose around here this time of year. Well, we did. It was our second day here, and we were down in the nice part of town getting footage. And look, a mama moose came scampering down right in the middle of the road, like it was no big deal. And that was the first time I'd ever seen a moose. A moose, can you... Oh my God, a moose, can you stop right now? A moose just ran by. I can't believe a moose just ran by. Just came out of nowhere and ran right across the street in someone's front yard. Welcome to Alaska.
Heck yeah.
By about the fourth day, I got pretty frustrated because anywhere you go in Anchorage, it's restricted from flying a drone because there's airports everywhere. So I chartered an airplane ride myself to get some footage from the sky. If I can't fly my drone, I'll go up there and get it from above. Now, thanks to Trevor at Land and Sea Aviation, we were able to hop in a little Cessna at the local airport, and we saw all kinds of stuff. There's downtown, right there along the Cook Inlet. That's the downtown shot I needed. It only cost me a couple $100 to get up here and get it. But that's not all we saw. Look at all this cool stuff that Trevor showed us. He took us just right outside of town into the Chugach Mountains. We saw waterfalls, glaciers, mountain goats, bears. That's the first time I've seen a bear since Yellowstone, and only the second time I've ever seen one. We got to see modular homes, and he even flew us over the hood. Couldn't get my drone up over that either, so I needed that shot. What a neat time. Above Anchorage's nature in a damn plane.
One-handed, dang. You're strong.
And here's our beach. Very rocky. We do need a rock. Is there a curse like in Hawaii that you can't take? I do. The
You need to pick one.
Anchorage
Your
Beach.
Birthday, it's your birthday rock.
The Anchorage Beach is very rocky. It is not sand at all. I don't know if this is what caused this. I'm not a geology expert. But
Ankle twisters.
yeah, wouldn't be pleasant to lay on. Not at all. But it's clean. There's no trash. Oh, as soon as I said that, there's trash. Come on, Anchorage. The Cook Inlet, Pacific Ocean. I'm gonna fall. Oh, it's cold. I mean, not freezing, but that's cold.
That's cold.
You want to get in? So back in 1835, the Russians, they crossed the Bering Sea right here, and they came to Anchorage, and they set up a mission. And then those Russians found gold in Alaska, and by the early 1900s, Anchorage was becoming very important. And then we built some military bases here, and by the 1950s, people were coming to Anchorage a lot. But I don't know if they actually came down to this beach much. It's not much of a beach. There he is, Captain Cook, famous explorer, looking out over his domain. Captain Cook is very controversial, so of course they made a statue for him. He was a British guy. He came over here looking for the Northwest Passage around Alaska. He landed, he planted his British flag and claimed the land, and then got ran out of town by the Eskimos. So Captain Cook never found the Northwest Passage. He turned around and he went to Hawaii, and then he got killed by their native population. Sucks. Well, the natives here, they don't like this statue very much because of colonialism and white man conquering. Same reason they got Mount McKinley changed to Denali. Old Captain Cook showed up here, and they broke bread, and Thanksgiving was born, and everybody was happy. Got a moose in the airport here in Anchorage. Yep. A real float plane in the airport. Little coffee cabin, pull tabs, western wear. Well, if that ain't Alaska for you. If there's anything that's totally Anchorage, it's these little coffee huts all over the place. I read somewhere that Anchorage has more coffee stands per capita than anywhere else in the world. And I believe it. They're all over here. They're all over the state. Pull tabs are a big deal in Alaska. All right, so I'm outside the pull tab place. It's fascinating. It's this weird environment where you sit down and pull tabs. I'm going to try to get some footage if I can, but it's kind of, they're looking at me kind of funny. Like, why is this guy filming this? It's not that exciting. But I got a little bit of cash. Let's see if we can win.
There's 5 there. You'll be able to tell, should have a little bubble on there. I think on those ones, it's usually a little yellow bubble and it'll say
Winner or not.
$1, 2, 5.
Yeah. Now, I'd seen these before in some vending machines in other states. But here, you have a whole room devoted to it. You sit down at this little bar and you order the little pull tabs from behind the window, and they bring you a big old stack of them. And people just sit there all day and just rip these things open. So I had to try that. Of course, I didn't win anything. Never do.
How to get this meat, make a little noise, that's sweet. This lady grew up on a fishing boat. Make a little noise like that, 'cause it's crazy.
Wow. I didn't know Anchorage had it in her. This is Chilkoot Charlie's, or Coots, as they call it. One of the most famous bars in Anchorage. It's a super cool place. They have all these bars spread out all over the place in different rooms. It's really cool. Now here's the upstairs part of Coots. Not supposed to be up there, but, you know, I know people. Apparently this whole part of the bar has a whole Russian history thing or whatever. I don't know. It sounded very secret and cool. I wasn't really listening. I was just trying to get another drink, and there was no bartender up here. They've had some big acts come through Coots. Warrant, Sick Puppies, Gin Blossoms. What? My God. But they actually have pretty good music here. And I saw a lot of people who were way more cool and hip than I am. Some old timers told me this is nothing like how it was during the 1980s oil boom. Back then, everyone had money, and all the bars were filled with live music every night. But by the early 2000s, most of the energy here was gone. Man, this place is amazing. Holy crap. Oh my God, it's so light. It's like 4:30 in the morning, and it's still light. Oh my God. Now we were here for a week. I know. I wasted a perfectly good week of my life in Anchorage, Alaska. For you guys. This isn't the most exciting place, and I don't think you need a week here. You'll go crazy. 3 days max. But there was a bunch of stuff that people told me I needed to do here, so I wanted to try every single thing that I was told to do. Like, when would I ever come back here again, right? They call this Anchor Town. Somebody told me, it's surprisingly hip here, Nick. We have art galleries and theaters and breweries. Well, I don't do those things. That's for tourists. I like to see how the real locals live. I'll tell you what, there's more weed stores here than liquor stores. And you sure know it. I stopped by many dispensaries in this state to get the 411. And pot is legal in Alaska. And right next door to the Taco Bell, we got a weed store. Let's go inside and find out what this is all about. Not that I do drugs, because drugs are bad. Oh, look at all that weed. Wow. Look at all that pot. My friends are going to be jealous back home.
I'm sure they are.
$36 for a 200 milligram THC chocolate bar. I'm not gonna do it. And they also sell pre-rolls for $5 a piece. Yeah, I'm doing it for you, YouTube.
Did you know Alaskans smoke the most marijuana per capita than any other state?
Well, that makes sense. I think I saw more people high in downtown Anchorage than anywhere I've been, really. And I hear it brought a lot more homeless people here too, but what do I know? And Mappy, so I looked at your papers, and your papers say that you're made from hemp. So maybe I should smoke you.
If you did, you'd probably get extra smart.
No, if I did, I'd probably be dumber. Whatever. Anyway. If you would take it. Downtown's okay for a medium-sized city, I guess. Take all the homeless people out, and downtown's not too bad. Well, I'm gonna have a couple beers in the Anchorage Mushing District on a cold, rainy day. Seems like the whole summer's been cold and rainy.
And yes, you can walk around at night and not be totally freaked out. Kinda. The bar scene here, it's normal. I went to many bars and saddled up and had a bottle of suds so I could take in the scene for you guys to show you what it's like. This is what the average Anchorage people do. And my first stop was the Avenue Bar on 4th, where they had tennis on. Well, they don't have a lot of sports up here to watch. And it was a well-stocked bar, including Caribou Crossing at $50 a pole. Damn, Anchorage.
Panhandle Bar. This looks like my kind of place. Yes, indeed.
And they have a steer and a knife and a spear. Wow, damn. A hardcore native vibe in here. Good for you, Panhandle Bar. Somebody told me that this place makes smoked salmon Bloody Marys. I did not try that.
It's about 9 o'clock, and it is another rainy night in Anchorage. August 27th. Supposed to be summer, I guess. I don't know. What's summer here anymore? Just another drizzly, gray, cold night. I'm getting used to it, and that's just how it is around here. Panhandle Bar, Avenue Bar, whatever.
My final stop that night was the Polar Bar, across from the overly expensive Sheridan that charges $600 a night to all the cruise shippers. What a ripoff. Now this is totally my kind of place.
Oh, wow.
Polar Bar even has a fireplace in it. Now, the food, the restaurants, the dining scene, I was told the food in Anchorage isn't very good, and I'd agree. Most of what we had was eh. First night, we went to a place called Humpy's, which was full of tourists just like me. I mean full. Reindeer meatloaf? Well, we tried the halibut burger instead, and it was dry.
All right, it is 4 a.m. and you would think it was dinner time. Look at that. In Anchorage. No, just kidding. It's 9:30, but it's still pretty light out. It's almost 10 o'clock, and that's a lot. The sun does go down here eventually, but doesn't feel like it sometimes. Downtown Anchorage with all the bums over there. Now the next night, we went for some local seafood at a place outside of downtown called the Peanut Farm. Well, kind of a weird vibe in here. We ordered some salmon and halibut, and the server brought it out, and it did smell pretty bad. And a bunch of dudes like turned around and made a big old scene, and they were like, "Oh, what is that smell? Do not eat that fish. Something's wrong with that fish. I'm a fisherman. I know how to make fish. Something ain't right. Do not eat that." So we didn't. Got a burger instead. Looked out over that creek filled with bum pee. That was 2 nights in a row that the seafood sucked. Thought I'd be going to Alaska to eat the best fish I'd ever eaten. I wouldn't have good seafood till we got down to Homer in about 3 days. Reindeer sausage is a delicacy in these parts, so I had to try that. Well, I was told the best place for reindeer sausage was at an unassuming gas station right in the middle of town. Reindeer burrito.
It's Rudolph.
It was aight. Kind of weird. Of course, you want to know, how do they shop? Well, there are two grocery chains are called Carr's and Fred Meyer, and they totally compete with one another. I was in both of them quite a bit when we were here, and I always saw homeless people out in front of them. Every time, there was like a drunk Eskimo pounding booze right on the doorstep. I had to go and check out their cars.
Oh boy. This is not as nice at all. That's cool. Is that a Fred Meyer? Oh, this is nice. Okay, Fred Meyer. Way better than Carr's. Wow. Carr's is ghetto. This is a nice shopping experience. Fred Meyer's. Look at that. Wow. We've got furniture, clothing, even a jeweler. All the Carhartt you could want. Look at all that good American-made Carhartt. Tough, rugged men shop here. Yeah. Frozen food next to the fishing poles. They even have TVs here. What? A gallon of milk, $4.39. That ain't bad at all. The winner is Fred Meyer by a long shot. Carr's is just not really that fancy or nice. But hey, it's cheap.
I always say the best way to get to know a city is by looking inside its Walmart.
Looks pretty normal to me. I wish it didn't. Alaska born and raised. I think. And way more guns. Scopes and shit. I've already got Thanksgiving stuff up. And it's summer. Well, for them, it's fall.
Their old mall was being demolished, just like every other mall in America these days, because of China and the open border. That sucks. But their supposedly ghetto mall is still open. It's called the Diamond Mall. Somebody told me that there's Samoans who shoot people at this mall. They said it's pretty ghetto and sketchy. So, of course, I had to go see that. But it was pretty chill when I was here. Kind of boring. But I heard Anchorage has been called the worst dressed city in the country. So I had to know what that was all about.
This is a pretty cool mall. It's little. I mean, for Alaska, it's not bad. Well, that's cool. Alaska fashion. Oh, they dress normal here too. Someone said it was a poorly dressed city. But they have H&M. There you go.
The Anchorage liquor store chain is called Brown Jug. That's usually where you see the troublemakers loitering outside the various brown jugs in town. So I checked that out. I went inside one. Just looks like a normal liquor store. I was pretty disappointed though. I went in to get some footage of their famous salmon flavored vodka, but the store manager said, "We're out." I was like, damn it. Wanted to get a shot of that, maybe even drink some. One night in downtown, we met the famous Rod Perry, author of the book Trailbreakers. Rod took part in the first ever Iditarod race way back in 1973.
Basically, you can't get a dog to do something for 1,000 miles it doesn't want to do. They are an animal of a very rough trade that they have been hardwired to love doing. And without a purpose, though, they were gone. The snowmobile took their place, just like the John Deere tractor and the Model T took the place of the horse and mule and ox used to pull our load. So,
Why are they going so much faster? Sled design?
that's almost no part of it. The biggest part is 52 years of selective breeding.
The dogs are faster.
Way more athletic.
Okay. And on our final night, we finally made it to 49th State Brewing. It's a really big, famous place where all the tourists come. For the entire week, we wanted to come here, but it was either too crowded or it was raining. But on the last night, it was wonderful here. And no, we didn't see a rainbow. That was next week.
Yeah.
This guy's telling me to go into the Pioneer Bar for one more
He
drink
sure is. He is pointing.
in Anchorage.
Uh-huh.
Right?
And he looks
Okay.
like he means business.
We're going inside. Yes, sir.
Gonna take notes.
Into the Pioneer Bar for one more, and here we go.
Our last stop on our last day in Anchorage was in a super duper awesome dive bar called the Pioneer.
My kind of bathroom. Yeah, that's a straight up piss stall right there. Look at that. Classic.
I thought about getting on that thing. When I thought about it twice. Wasn't worth it. Had to get home safe. Plus, there was nobody there to watch. Can't get hurt for nothing. Look at that. Even Mappy got some play in here. You're welcome, bud. Move to Anchorage and you can drive to Alaska on the weekends. That's what they say here. There's a lot of drama here. Anchorage is not in a very good place right now. A recent poll said 80% of Anchoragers are unhappy. And everybody said they want the homeless problem solved. Well, good luck with that. And just about everybody said that crime and hiring more cops needs to be done. We need to do that soon. It's kind of hard to get people to move up here. And they come up here and they try it and then they're like, this isn't for me. And then they leave. The city's kind of beat up. It's kind of outdated. It's getting really expensive. And boy, is it kind of sketchy. They're going to have to figure some stuff out here. Alaska's economy relies on energy and tourism. And the politics of oil are unreliable. Well, it's sad to see it, but America's woes have made it all the way up here. 2,200 miles from the mainland. It's infected. There's a lot of political division, and nobody knows how to fix things. Drill for more oil? Hand out more welfare? There's a lot of people here that are worried about the future of Alaska and Anchorage. I think there's a lot of people going, I don't know if Anchorage is even worth investing in anymore.
All right, so Benny, you've been in Anchorage for a long, long time.
August of 1983, which
That's
is
41 years.
Except for the Army, when I was gone in the Army, but I've always kept my residency here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, how has Anchorage changed at all? We drive around and I see a lot of great stuff. I see a lot of problems, just like any other city. How do you feel about that?
Well, when I first came to Anchorage in '83, I think the population back then was probably around 170,000, give or take. A lot of people are moving out. I think
people are leaving Anchorage.
Yeah, I think for the first time we're seeing less numbers here than the years prior.
It stopped growing and now people are leaving.
Yeah, little by little
because cost.
because jobs.
It's expensive to live here. You know, on the national average, we're pretty high. You know, everything has to be imported here, and we're considered like overseas because, you know, there's Canada separates us from the continental U.S., so we're kind of treated like we're Hawaii. I noticed a huge change in the culture in our city. The various demographics significantly changed, and I personally don't like it as much as I used to. I never thought I was going to move out of here, but now I've already bought my homes in my retirement homes early, and they're in a foreign country.
So crime, cost of living, homelessness. Did you say those are the three biggest problems Anchorage has?
It's tough. For a lot of years, you didn't feel like there were police in town.
We didn't see hardly any police in the whole state, to be honest.
I see more cops now than I have seen in so many years, which is amazing. I always felt like, wow, it speaks to a lot when you see like people generally still abiding by rules without all the enforcement. I don't think that would happen in any other city. Because like, yeah, you have your speeders, you have people who violate traffic laws and stuff, but for the most part, when you could go every single day for years on end and not see a single cop at any time on the roads, and people are that well behaved and abiding by the rules generally, it's pretty amazing. You know, that means like people actually like care about, you know.
I mean, the only problem I've seen here is just the homelessness is just really out of control. I mean, they're kind of all over.
Yeah.
But besides
they
that,
freeze.
you know,
they freeze to death in the winter.
Yeah.
You know, usually every year there's several people die either from carbon monoxide poisoning, or they just flat out freeze in their tents because they have no heat. You know, or if they put a heater in there, then they die from the gases. You know.
And are people still coming up here to be homeless? Like, are they flooding up here like they do Seattle, Portland, LA, all that other stuff? Or
I think a lot of them are gonna get out of here. Only like the real dedicated ones will stay
because they're enforcing.
It's so much more tougher to survive here. I mean, Anchorage can get 20 to 30 below in January.
So all the people that have come up here realize we can't do this many more winters.
Yeah, our city, the various political figures in charge have tried to deal with that problem. And I would say that's been like their number one issue that they cannot resolve. You know, there's always the money issues, right? The infrastructure issues. But with the homeless issue, it just seems like nobody can really come up with a solution that's workable. I think I see that everywhere.
No city can.
Yeah.
They have all the money and it just gets worse.
There's a lot of opinions about it and a lot of things have been tried, but I have yet to see any kind of program that's successful, you know? So I really have no answers for that. I don't think a lot of people have any answers. Lots of opinions, I would say. But I would say a lot of those opinions more so revolve around feeding the fire, in the sense that they want to provide more programs that enable that lifestyle rather than try to resolve it. You know, I'd rather see solutions that try to make people more independent or give them opportunities to be self-reliant, you know, rather than invite more people who are highly dependent on the graciousness of our society, you know.
What's the best part about living in Anchorage then?
It's very free here, you know, and when I go back home to Hawaii and realize how many rules they have for everything, I really miss it here because we are still allowed a lot of freedoms that they don't allow there.
And probably in a lot of the other states too.
Yeah. And yes, we're isolated from the rest of the continental U.S., which in my opinion kind of makes it nicer, you know, because a lot of the bad people that we wouldn't really want to have come here, they resist it because of the environment. That it's a harsher environment, you know. So it kind of, the environment, the weather and everything kind of keeps Anchorage pretty good for the most part, or the rest of Alaska as well, you know. it's a very unique state. It's like almost another country. You know.
I agree. Well, hey, Nick Johnson fans. So YouTube's pushing this whole membership thing now, and I think it's great. So I set one up for this channel. If you want to be a member on this channel, you can only do it on your computer right now. They make it hard for some reason. So go and hit join right there, and you can support the channel and join various membership tiers. I'm excited about it because I'm going to post all sort of behind the scenes content, extra interviews, fun mappy stuff, bonus songs, and more. Just some extra stuff that doesn't make it onto the main channel. So think about becoming a member. Huh, everyone?
You should join. I did.
Are you looking to move and need advice? I do consulting. That's right. I'll sit down and talk about where the next perfect place for you and your family should be. I do it all the time. Together, let's find you a new home that's safe and checks all your boxes. And I can also help you find your new house, too. Email me and I'll work with you. I'm not just helping you figure out where to move, but I can help you find your perfect home, too. That's right. I know awesome, reliable agents all over the country, and I'd love to connect you to somebody who can help you search for that perfect home. And if you want to buy some Mappy gear, click the store link on my homepage. From there, you can check out the latest merch. There's hoodies, coffee cups, stickers, and shirts. Show off how much you love Mappy and support the channel. And I'm on Cameo too. If you want me to send you or somebody you know a personalized video message, go to Cameo and search Nick Johnson YouTube. It's fun.
Hey YouTube world, I'm Sage, Nick's manager. You've enjoyed a Corner House Entertainment production, so watch another one.
Hey guys, if you learned something new about America or what it's like to live in America, great. You should think about subscribing and turning on your notifications. You can also click one of these videos or playlists for more.